Thursday, March the 9th, 2017, and this is your Barbados Today Evening Update. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. Topping the news at this hour, the two wooden houses which a family of 5 from Rock Hall, St. George occupied for the past 21 years on rented land were demolished before their eyes this afternoon as part of a court order. But the quick intervention of opposition MP for St. George North, Glenn Clark, prevented marshals of the court from taking the dismantled structure of the Gibbons family to the garbage dump. Rashida Gibbons, who declined to give the whereabouts or name of the landowner, would only say that the family had asked for time. However, Clark explained that the Gibbonses had already been given an extension of the deadline set by the court. He assured, though, that all was not lost.
I've also spoken to Mr. Michael Power from College Plantation, and he's going to make arrangements for rental spots for them as they speak. So all is not lost. We just have to be able to store the house. I think the marshals have agreed that they will not take the house to the dump, as is the custom, but a neighbor has agreed to store the wood, the permaclad, and all the other utensils.
Barbados' credit rating has suffered its second downgrade in just under 2 weeks, and its 19th since the Minister Stuart administration took up office 9 years ago. On the heels of last week's Standard & Poor's downgrade, Moody's has now downgraded this government's bond and issuer ratings to CAA3. Moody's today blamed the downgrade on the government's rising debt and its very limited prospects of fiscal reform. It also said that as a consequence, rising domestic and external financing pressures are very likely to impair the government's ability to service its debt. However, unlike S&P, Moody's has maintained a stable outlook for the island. But in a swift response, opposition leader Mia Mottley was particularly harsh on Prime Minister Stuart for what she said was bringing the country to its knees through his ignorance of knowing how to run a government.
This is not the first time that the Prime Minister of Barbados has presided over a downgrade of our credit rating, but it is the first time that we are afflicted with a leader who does not understand the gravity of the problem. The Prime Minister has demonstrated a total ignorance of the subject matter. Indeed, his response places Barbadians at risk of being viewed internationally as either economically illiterate at best or at worst as contemptuous and arrogant. The Prime Minister is saying that to take credit ratings seriously is to question our independence. What Prime Minister Stuart does not see, but what the average Barbadian who pays bills understands, is that if you run your affairs so badly that you are dependent on the people lending to you, then you do lose your independence.
In an equally telling response, President of the Economic Society of Barbados, Jeremy Stephen, said the Moody's downgrade of CAA3 puts government a mere 2 levels above guaranteeing default on its external loans.
So my thinking has always been, with respect to these downgrades, that it's inevitable once government doesn't have the political will to execute on the recommendations made by the financial community, international, local, economic community, international and local. So we know, for instance, government was supposed to cut recurrent expenditure for some time, and it's failed essentially to do so. It hasn't shown the will to do so in a meaningful manner. Being that it is an election year, essentially, one can expect for the remainder of this fiscal year and for a large part, if not the entire part of the fiscal year next year, that government will not cut its spending.
Barbados is yet another political party. The latest is called Citizens Action Partnership, or CAP. It was announced today at a press conference by Interim Chairman Wendell Callender. Callender told reporters that CAP will serve as the umbrella organization for citizens or political groups that don't now have a voice in Parliament.
Citizens Action Partnership is a political member organization which is open to all citizens of Barbados It is a cooperative instrument which facilitates the joint promotion of candidates, whether unattached to a political party or members of a political party, which is not now represented in the House of Assembly. So if you are a private individual or you are a member of a party which you might consider a minor party, you will be under the umbrella of CAP, Citizens Action Partnership. Our aim is to provide a viable forum for candidates who would not have been afforded the opportunity within the traditional political organizations for whatever reason.
Local ice cream manufacturer Bico is reporting a 7% increase in overall sales for the financial year ending September 30th, 2016. However, officials of the Harbour Road firm are less than optimistic about the performance this year. Executive Chairman Edwin Thirlwell told a press conference this morning that the economic conditions at the moment were resulting in very little confidence among individuals and businesses.
We have to do something spectacular to try and generate revenue, sales, and to keep things moving forward. I think it's not an understatement to say the future is uncertain. There are so many uncertainties out there that it's bound to affect the confidence of people who spend money. It affects the confidence of people who import goods for the hospitality sector, which of course we rely on for the harbour coleslaw. Everything is a little uncertain, so we only have to do our best.
In sport, West Indies were whitewashed by England before a packed Kensington Oval this afternoon after losing the third consecutive game in the three-match ODI series by a massive 186 runs. Set 328 to win in the allotted 50 overs, the West Indies crawled to 142 all out in only 39.2 overs. This loss now puts the Windies' automatic qualification for the upcoming World Cup in doubt.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Left, right, left, right, left, right, left.
Let me step up, Corey fed up. Every march ain't no Corey fed up.
I am ready to march. Every day there is another issue that this government doesn't know how to solve. They keep piling on the taxes, but yet taking away your benefits. The roads, the water problems, the garbage pileups, the downgrades, the Prime Minister's silence. I am just fed up and ready to march.
Fed up of them? Then step up if you're fed up. March 11th from Jubilee Gardens. The march starts at 4 p.m.
Get your paper, get your paper. Only $2.25, $2.20. Who? For what? That's the Bear Stare News. I don't read about that from Barbados today since last night. That can't only can't do. $2.20. Who?
The Barbados Today, news you can trust.
We're back with news from the region now. St. Lucia's overall tourist arrivals have dropped by 8% for 2016, even though the sector recorded a 1% increase in stayovers. This comes amid word that the cruise and yachting sectors contracted by 13% and 1% respectively.
The 1% increase means that St. Lucia recorded an estimated 347,872 stayover arrivals in 2016. It's slightly better than the 344,908 recorded in 2015, but the executive chair of the St. Lucia Tourist Board, Agnes Francis, says it was not a good year for St. Lucian tourism. Tourism officials convened a State of the Industry press conference on Tuesday.
While the Caribbean grew by about 4.5%, we experienced a decline of 8%. It was driven by a decline in the cruise arrivals of 13%. Stayover arrivals stayed flat with a 1% increase, and the yachting arrivals also declined by 1%, 0.9%. So overall, the impact was an 8% decline in visitor arrivals.
And on the global front, U.S.-backed Syrian forces said today they were closing in on Islamic State-held Raqqa and expected to reach the city outskirts in a few weeks. as the U.S. Marines Artillery Unit deployed to help the campaign.
400 U.S. Marines and Army Rangers deploying to Syria to help local forces take on Islamic State in its de facto capital, Raqqa. It's the first major commitment of U.S. troops by President Donald Trump, almost doubling the U.S. presence in Syria to about 900 soldiers. A U.S. military spokesman says the troops equipped with artillery guns will be working with 2 Syrian partners fighting ISIS, but will not be on the front lines. The increase coming after local forces cut off the militant group from the last main road out of Raqqa in preparation for a final assault to capture the city. The moves in Syria coinciding with continued gains against ISIS in Iraq, with U.S.-backed Iraqi forces battling to retake the ISIS stronghold of Mosul.
And that's news and sports, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. Also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We are also on Izumi Media in-bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you, as well as Channel 99 on Flow TV and Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic evening.